All right, joining me right now is UFC welterweight Dwight Grant. Dwight, you're in San Diego, man. How's life down there? I know it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet.
Yeah, it's great. The beach is nearby, so you can stop by there anytime you want. The palm trees, the weather, everything is real nice here, and the training is excellent, top notch. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I just want to talk a little bit more about San Diego because what's the difference? Like every place in California is different with the protocol and the
Uh,
restrictions and everything. So, what is it like for you right now at this moment?
well, they just turned up. I say turned up, but it just got more like strict with the stuff uh today and yesterday. So now things are starting to shut down and be a little bit more like restrictive. And they want you to stay inside the house more. But I just like really just happened like today and yesterday. But before it was just like be careful, wear your mask, and like certain businesses require you to wear a mask before you enter the premises, and they have a sign outside. And that was pretty much it. My family and I were like staying inside most of the time anyway. And when we went to go buy groceries and stuff, it was the only time we had to really interact with anybody. So it was just that.
So, if let's say that they do level up in these restrictions, do you have to probably just have a small group, or have you had the small group the whole time?
I probably have to just like tighten it up a little bit and like train, one on one with the coaches and like a
Mm.
training partner. I mean, the thing about it is for me, this whole thing is obviously terrible, but I've been accustomed to training in small groups and doing like a one-on-one thing with me and my friend or in their backyard or something like that, like all the time. It's like kind of how
Mm.
I've been going the whole time. So it's only like recently that I've been really like going to the gym and really training with everybody, this year. So going back to just me and my coach and like one training partner, it's not a big shock for me.
Okay, so you're used to it now with yourself, moving to San Diego and joining Alliance, and this is your second camp, so your relationships are getting better. Do you fig,
Yeah.
how is it with like training partners? Are you figuring out like who you work with better? You know what I mean? Because I think that that's also part of it. You can't just work with everybody, right?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is like it's weird because when I first came here, my friends asked me how it was. I tried to be like, too, the grass is greener, like, oh, it's so excellent, It was really awesome, and
Hmm.
it was so awesome that I was like, this is not gonna be how it is all the time. But I've been there for a whole year, and it's only gotten better. Like I have great training partners, like Jeremy Stevens, Miles
Hmm.
Jury, like like people that I'm actually training and sparring with. I got Herman coming in to help me, like all these people to help me out. And the most important thing is they're not just beating me up. They're giving me insight into why. Like they're
Hmm.
trying to help me grow. And we sit down for like a half hour talking about what is, like needs to be changed or, just different motivations or things that, to help me out. So I feel so prepared. That's why even in my last fight, like I kind of started it so quick because I just feel like, hey man, I'm good. Like there's no worries here. Yeah.
Yeah, Alliance seems like they're a more cerebral camp. I'm not saying any other camps are not cerebral because you have to be cerebral in this game, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
they do. If you look at some of the guys, especially Dominic Cruz and your head
Yeah.
coach Eric.
Yeah, these guys. It was crazy because when I first started training with him, he told me something about my style that like I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Like, that's pretty good point. Like they obviously analyzing everything, but the thing about it is the knowledge of what to do and the application of it is like
Mhm.
there's a gap there that has to be transferred from the coach to the fighter. And I think they're really good at like translating that and crossing that gap. So I think that's one of the biggest improvements in my training and in my fighting style that have happened because of that.
Yeah, and I noticed that even for myself, like I follow the Korean MMA scene very closely, and there's been a few fighters that have went to Alliance, and usually Korean fighters don't go outside of Korea to train too much.
Well, I mean, they probably feel how welcoming it is, and like how much I want to say how much fun, but it is like people are training and having a good time,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing is really like it pulls people in.
All right. Well, now let's get to the fight. Last summer you started off with Jared Gooden, then you went to
Oh yeah,
Callan Board, and then fight week
yeah.
came, and Daniel Rodriguez ended up being your opponent. Man, just take me through that whole fight week. Not even the fight, but just that fight week of just. Was it very chaotic and like in a whirlwind for you?
No, because I think everything happens. Everything happens for a reason, But I think everything happens the way it's supposed to. Because I came here and the way I was training all year and what my coach prepared me for, even without all this, was to fight anybody. And because of the climate that we're in and everything that's happening with the UFC and how like the fights are happening, I already put in my mind that I have to be ready to fight anybody at any time. I need to be able to train and fight and be ready to go all the time. So when the first opponent fell out, I don't think I even left to the Apex yet. But I was like, hey, whoever you got, I'm ready to fight, you know? And that was my mindset going in. And then I got an opponent, and I was like, cool, I have somebody. But I didn't really care to look them up too much because I felt like, okay, now this is like how it was back in, the amateur days and also like the, even pro Muay Thai days where it's like you don't know who you're fighting, you don't have any tape, you show up to the event, and then like you barely know what the person looks like, and then you fight. So that's why when it changed to D-Rod the same, it wasn't the same day, it was the day before at the weigh-ins. I was like, hey, this is it, man. This is this is what I've been prepared for the whole time. So it wasn't chaotic. It was more like me just leaning back into myself, going, "Yeah, this is how it goes. This is the way it goes. Whatever happens, there's gonna be a fight, and that's what I want."
I guess that's what the world's now, the fight world has become now, even at the highest levels. Like people are just
Yeah,
sliding in at any moment and getting opportunities. Now
yeah,
with the actual fight, man, it's controversial. Like a lot of people after that it was over, they were like, man, Dwight, he could have got the stoppage, man. When you look back at it, from your perspective, rewatch the fight, what do you see?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely rewatched it. I watched it. I watched it at the fight. I watched it when I got home. I watched it with my family. I watched it a bunch of times because there's a different feeling in the moment versus like sitting back and being like, okay, this is what happened. But the most important thing conclusion I came to is I wouldn't change anything that happened in the fight as far as my actions because I've been in situations before where I've knocked somebody down and I got on top of them and like I didn't go for the finish and then the fight went on for 3 more rounds and I lost. And that's what happened in like my first fights. So I didn't want that to happen again. I made a decision in there that I'm gonna go all out from the beginning of the bell to the end of it. No matter what, I'm gonna make sure that I put everything I had. So when I was, I had him down, I was hitting him, and I heard the referees saying like, fight back, fight back. Like I'm used to hearing that, and not to sound like arrogant, like I'm used to hearing it, but like I know that when the referee says that, the fight's gonna be done with the next 5 seconds. So I was like, hey, blitz this dude and make sure this guy this guy finishes stops his fight. And that didn't happen. So that was the first time that's ever happened where like I thought it was gonna end and it didn't. And it was fine. Like I wish it would have, but it didn't. So I was gonna move on to the next thing.
Definitely no. With the loss, you know what I mean? Like how do you get over that? Is it something that you can like do on your own, or do you have to like talk with some people, like you got some people close to you to talk about the fights and kind of put it into perspective, or how long does it take for you to get over it, or does it still linger with you?
Oh, I mean, the thing about it for me, and this is probably not healthy, but like I'm angry about stuff all the time. So it's like like I don't like I'm not an angry person, but when stuff happens, I'm like okay, and then like I hold on to it, and then I train, man. I train, I go fight, and I let it out, and I express myself. To me, the art part of martial arts is expressing whatever you feel and showing it through some kind of physical action. The way you punch, the way you throw a hook, everybody learns the same technique, but the way we express it is different. So my expression comes from a lot of like me being frustrated or upset with things. So it's gonna linger. But as far as the I guess the logical like breakdown of it, like I was fine. Like at first I couldn't believe it because even when the fight got stopped, I asked the referee, I was like, "You stopped it?" I'm like, why? And that part didn't make any sense. When I watched it again and I saw how quickly he stopped it, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. It was like a minute of ground and pound, and then like I got stopped so quickly. So all those things were happening to where it would linger on. But the way I was able to let it subside, at least like you know, move on, I guess, was just forgiveness. Like, all right, man, like it happened. Like I'm not gonna be mad at the referee. I'm not gonna be mad at the situation. Like, all right, it's done. And the most important thing is, I know that if I did it again, I would do the same thing because I was supposed to learn from that situation. So now my mindset is completely different. It's not about okay, don't let it go to the judges. It's now my mindset is get it to a point to where if the ref doesn't step in, it's gonna be crazy. Like if the ref doesn't stop this fight, people are gonna be screaming and climbing in the cage, like or the corner throwing a towel. And it sounds like a bravado kind of thing, but I'm not talking about like doing some crazy to my opponent. I'm talking about just make sure that the finish is so obvious that it has to be done. Not waiting for a ref to come in and save the guy. It's about me doing my job, and then that's it. Yeah.
That surprises me that you said that you're kind of a angry guy, because whenever I speak with you, you're never angry. You're always
Oh
smiling
yeah.
and having a good
Well,
time.
it's more like of the fighting thing. It's like
Okay.
you need something to push you to compete. Like I like to win, but I hate to lose. Like
Hmm.
like it's the one constant in my life. Even when I compete in other things, I just don't like losing. And like I'm not a sore loser, but I really don't even want to be any kind of loser.
Yeah.
It's always so remember like when I remember losses that I've had, I immediately get so upset that I want to be better at that moment. And that's just how I am. So when I perform, I'm performing with all that in my mind. It's like I'm living in the past, the present, and the future all at the same time, because I want the outcome to be great based on my previous experiences. So it's just it's like a calm kind of anger. It's like a useful kind of thing.
Yeah, and going back to the fight, like you mentioned earlier about the referee, like I felt like when I was watching it that because he missed that moment to fit like stop the fight for you, it almost
Yeah.
like he was nervous and he kind of jumped the gun for D Rod and stopped the fight. It's kind of in that.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it like that, and it sucks for for you, but like you said,
Yeah.
you got to move on, man, because you did pop up and you had that expression on your face, like what what
Yeah.
what did you do?
I thought about like all the times I've watched people argue with the ref. In that moment, at that time, I'll tell you exactly what I said. I said, "You stopped it? Why?" And he was like, "You got dropped." And I was like, "Okay, let me chill, because anything
Yeah.
I say from this point is going to be crazy. Like, let me just chill out." Like, so I wanted to calm down and just go scroll through it, man. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to argue with a guy, and like after I just fought too, like I know it's just the wrong time. So and then to make it not to make it worse, but it was hilarious. Every time that ref had a problem for the next couple of weeks, I would get 1,000 texts and
Yeah.
like calls. You saw what he did again? You saw what he did, man? And it's like, yeah, I see it, but what am I gonna do? I
Yeah.
mean,
I think I seen that online so many times with Chris Tyone. I think that's his name, the
yeah,
referee. Like he's
yeah,
just been under the microscope like crazy, but they keep bringing it back every week, and I'm just
yo,
like, why? Why are they doing it? But I guess the UFC or the commission, that's I don't like the commissions, man. I'm like a person that's why do we even have the commissions? The promotions can pretty much do everything on their own. I don't understand like some of the things that they do, but that's another conversation, man. Like we
yeah.
could go like 3 hours on that. I want to get into your fight now, man. Your fight.
Oh, cool.
To be honest with you, this opponent that you coming up, the Leech, right? Li
Yeah,
Jingliang, man, he's a big name, like especially in China, in Asia, and I think he has credentials in the UFC. Like he's faced a lot of
yeah.
top
He
guys.
fought.
He's been ranked. How do you feel about the matchup, man? It's like they're giving you a good name this time up too.
I'm very grateful. Like you have no idea. Like the main thing that I was thinking about, like after that fight, was like, okay, so I lost the fight, and I'm standing up here with all my teeth and everything fine. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get beat up, and now I'm upset because I'm gonna have to work my way back up. Like like I fought in Prague and I fought Jaban, and I was like, all right, like I'm working my way up. I really want to get in the top 10 because there's guys that I really want to fight. Not just because like you want to obviously want to progress and get your way towards a belt, but I just want to fight some of these guys so that like I can have that experience. I'm not gonna be a good martial artist at the end of my life if I don't fight some of these guys. At least my opinion. Some of these guys are at the top 10 right now. So I really really want to get there, and I was scared I was gonna have to start all the way at the back of the line again. But they gave me somebody really good, somebody that I recognize, somebody that I've seen before, and said, you know what? One day I'm probably gonna have to fight that guy. And kind of like a wishing, kind of hoping kind of thing. And there you go, it happened. So I was very very happy with it.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, he like I said, he's faced some good guys, and he's not really. I don't know. What do you say about his skill set? Do you see him as a guy that's all around really good, or does he shine in one aspect?
I think he's more of a striker. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know he does like the grappling stuff, but I don't think he's a grappler for grappling's sake. Like it's different now. But remember how it was like in like the 2000s and like early 2000s stuff like that, where you had guys who were like wrestlers and they came and they
Mm-hmm.
held you down and like they just stayed on top of you for the. That's not his style. I think he likes to fight. I feel like even if he doesn't admit it, he likes to fight, you know.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping to wake that up in him, like when I when I fight him. If it becomes a kind of like a grappling thing, I mean, I've been training it like a lot, and I actually like like I've actually gained a level or two here that I never thought I would. Like things just opened up that I've been like I don't say frustrated with, but grappling is a whole different animal to striking, and when I train in grappling, I can do the things, but sometimes somebody will say something that'll just open up, whoa, a whole bunch of different avenues, like a whole part of the map just opened up for me. So I've had that feeling a lot recently, and so I'm prepared to grapple if I have to, but I really hope that it's striking, man, because I love to fight too. That's what I want.
Well, with the leech, he's a guy like you said. He's not really a guy that's going to initiate the takedowns. He's just using them to kind of keep you guessing. But he wants to sit there
Yeah,
and swing and bang. I think that's his
yeah.
style.
That's what I'm hoping for. But I mean, but just because I like it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I should be smarter and be like, well, this is the proper game plan. The problem is I like to fight, and
Hmm.
when the fights happen, and no matter what I say right now, even if I'm saying the game plan is to go in there and get the single leg and like it's not. But even if it was, I would be lying if I said that's what I want to do. What I want to do, I mean, I want to win, obviously, but I want to fight and win. So I feel as though going into this, I'm gonna be able to show all things that I've learned, and if I
Hmm.
have to, I'll show some grappling too. you know.
Definitely, definitely. Now at at Alliance, man, you've like you mentioned your training partners, but like there's a few coaches down there. It's not just Eric Del Fiero. Who have you
Oh
worked with the
no, no,
other
no.
coaches a lot?
Yeah, like it's a team, man. Everybody works together. Like they do things that I mean, it's just great practice for coaches in order to help the fighters. They all share their perspective, and like you might hear one person say something, another person say something, the other person said like they're sharing information. So when you work with another coach, it's not just a single experience; it's a cumulative experience from everybody you work with that day or that week, so they know where you're at, and then like they help you. So that to me has been invaluable because I'm accustomed to remembering everything that happened, which is not a great thing to do, and then trying to write it down, trying to like look at it from different angles, trying to think about what it would be, and like all these things like that. But it takes a lot of pressure off of me, and I can just focus on training and getting better. And a part of me at first was like, "Don't get lazy here, man. Just keep doing everything you're doing." But I'm still doing everything like before, but now that I have all this help, it's just like, well, I need to help. I need to let them help me. I have to allow them to help me because I remember a long time ago, somebody said something to me like it said, "What got you here won't get you there." So everything I did before got me to this point, but now I gotta like exit my comfort zone and let people help me out so I can get to the top spot because I don't want to get to the top 10 and then get beat up a whole bunch of times. You know what I mean? I need to use everything I can to make sure that I get to the top. You know?
So when you got to San Diego, where was there a moment where you decided like, okay, I'm gonna be here for the long term? Was there like a clicking like I don't know epiphany I guess that you found out while you were there?
Yeah, because I came. Okay, so I was injured last year after the Jaban fight, and then I think that summer I came down here and I trained for a little bit. This was my first time training since I got injured, so I was huge, man. I was like 215, like moving
Whoa.
around. But they were helping me out and training with me, and the energy was great. And I'm already accustomed to training by myself anyway, so I just kind of went there with the idea that well, all I got to do is just see if the coaches are good, and like I'll be fine. And the coaches were great, but the team surprised me the most because they were so helpful and so welcoming that I was like, well, this place is exactly what I want, but I'm scared to make this big change so suddenly. And I listen to people all the time, So like when my friends talk to me, like we sit down and we have conversations about things in a way that's like like I guess really beneficial for everybody. And when my friend said something like, "You can stay and you can keep fighting the way you are, or you can go where you feel and not have regrets later on." And I was like, am I gonna have regrets? And I'm like, yeah, man. I feel like if I don't go right now, I'm gonna regret it. So I just, I talked to my wife about it, and it was like, yeah, let's go do it. So that's how I ended up here.
In San Diego, it helps being where San Diego is. If it was like maybe Russia or something, she'd be like, "Oh, I don't know about that."
I mean, you're probably right for sure. Like selling to somebody else, and that's the thing. Like like having family and training is like you have to run it by the whole family and make sure
Yeah.
think about like, okay, well, the school system and this and that,
Mm.
like because for me, like if it was me by myself, I would, man, I'd probably living in Japan right now, like fighting, like like just having like having a full experience of a martial artist and like living in a gym and doing all stuff like that because that's where I kind of was before, like even
Mhm.
though I was in New York, I was in the gym all the time from 7:30 in the morning to like 10 o'clock at night, just almost every day. And that to me was the only way I could really like extrapolate all the information I needed to be able to compete and to think like a martial artist. So now I'm a little better at fighting, so I can get things a little faster, but I still like I love that feeling of just being in the gym all day and working hard, seeing everybody come and leave and
Mhm.
then come back the next day. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, man. Well, this last year you have been leveling up yourself, and with this fight coming up, man, it's a big opportunity against Lee. How do you see this one playing out? I'm pretty like you said, it's gonna be a striking battle, but what do you see?
I mean, anytime I go into the question, it's like I'm going there to win by KO all the time. And there's no disrespect to him, but it's just like that's what I'm coming there for, man. And I think that's what people want to see anyway. So it's like it works out. I see him getting the win, but by KO. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to predict the round, but I'm trying to get in there and get out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I say, a big one coming early.
December 12th, man. UFC 256. It's a big one. Thank you, Dwight, for the time, man, and good luck on the fight, and all the best to you and your family in your new
Thank
home, in your new city, man.
thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you